Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today, I have the great honor of having the legendary voice actress Debra Wilson with me. You know her from Mad TV, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and so much more. She portrayed characters like Cere Junda, Amanda Waller, Okoye, and Shelda from Bugsnax. Debra, welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you. And don't forget, Destiny 2, I voice Savathun,
Of course,
the Witch Queen.
yes. And also Baby
Very
Murloc, I think,
excited
right?
about that. Coming out on 2/22/22. And I also have a role, which I can't talk about yet, but I also have a role in the latest Halo.
Wow.
Infinite.
Incredible. Wow, that's so great.
A role in Halo Infinite and the latest God of War. So those roles I really can't talk about yet. But I can say I do have a very wonderful role in Halo Infinite and another wonderful role in the latest God of War.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah, and you will be sort of like teaming up again with Christopher Judge, right? You were recently on the panel for the Avengers War for Wakanda game, right?
Yes, and Christopher Judge and I have known each other for a while. We actually did a movie together.
Wow.
It's a murder mystery comedy called Knock 'em Dead.
Wow. I think you will have no problem with that, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, we usually kick off the show with a guest topic, and you were a little bit humble in saying you don't have anything prepared at all. But then you mentioned
Well,
like your tarantula.
it's not that I wasn't prepared. It's just that I never really thought about it because
Yeah.
it's not one of those things that comes up often. So it's like for
Right.
me, it wasn't a big deal. It's like I don't care about topics. You pick the topics. You
Right.
talk about whatever you want to talk about, and I will be engaged. I'm always energized and engaged no matter what comes up. So it wasn't relevant for me to have a topic. So it wasn't like I
Right.
wasn't prepared. It just wasn't relevant for me to
Right.
have a topic because once I'm engaged, I talk a mile a minute and I'm very energized about any topic.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and you were mentioning your tarantulas and your scorpions, and yeah, there was something going on. So maybe you can just dive into that for a minute or two.
I have at this moment, up as of today, at this moment, I have 10 scorpions and I have 10 tarantulas, and hopefully today will make 11 tarantulas. So I'm very excited about that. And I have 2 aquariums.
That's incredible. So like,
Yeah, I love my
yeah,
and
and
a
you were talking.
dog and my dog.
Yeah, right. And you were talking about your fear of like scorpions and tarantulas, right? Like, how did that start all?
I had an abject terror of scorpions and tarantulas. And I traded in, I let go of, I released, I surrendered it and realized that that fear didn't belong to me. I held on to it and I justified it for so long. And then I come to realize that, wait a minute, if I can flip that easily, then that means I really didn't have it. It's just that I let society and everything else dictate that fear. It gave it to me. I said yes and held on to it because it was given to me. But once I overcame that and realized, wait, I don't know, wait a minute. Once I let that go, the substitute, because when you get rid of something, there's always a reason that you're letting it go. So if I'm looking here at something that's amazing and magnificent, I have no choice but to stop looking over here at abject terror and fear. And so what I did is I glommed onto the information, I glommed onto the fascination, I glommed onto the different species and went, oh my God, what an incredible world of invertebrates and arachnids they are. I had no idea of this. I had no idea of that. I had no idea of this. And so the more I explored, the more I became fascinated, the more it was like, I got to get one. When I had one, it was like mind blowing. Now I got to get another. When I got the tarantulas, which was years after the scorpions, out of terror, and terror that turned into a joy, I got one and went, I got to get another. I got this species, that species, this information. Wow. And I just recently got an old world species of tarantula called the Monocentropas balfouri. And for you reptile people and scorpion people and Arachnid people out there, tarantula people, you'll know what the Monocentropas balfouri is. It is the Socotra Island blue baboon. It is an old world tarantula that doesn't use its back legs to kick urticating hairs because it hasn't developed. They move fast, and there are this amazing blue color when they're mature. They're also one of the, if not only, tarantula that can cohabitate in groups of the same. Most tarantulas are territorial. They're lone animals. They're lone creatures. I have all my different terrariums set up for each individual tarantula. But the balfouri, the Socotra Island blue baboon, can be kept in groups as long as there's plenty of food and plenty of space in a terrarium or enclosure that you may have custom built. So I'm looking forward to raising 2 of them, which are subadults, because you get them from slings, which is a spider laying and put it together as a sling. And then you get your juveniles, like human beings, juveniles. And then you get your subadult, which means you're not an adult yet. And then the adults. And by the time they have their molt into adulthood, that's when they're coloration. And they're dimorphic, which means that the male and the female of the species have similar colorations. They may vary by a shade or 2, but they have similar colorations. Because in other species of tarantulas, they're not dimorphic, so you can't tell male from female until they become adults. And then you can tell by their pedipalps. I'm turning into a geek right now. Let's get back to you. Yes.
Absolutely incredible. And this is why I love this segment so much, that you see like the passion coming out of the guests. It's incredible. I would have never expected you having like a real monologue about like all the love you feel for these arachnoids and scorpions. Crazy. And absolutely incredible. I might try that for myself because I'm terribly afraid of spiders. So after this like pep talk by you, I might end up getting.
Would you like to see one of my Would you like to see one of my scorpions?
I mean, sure, why not?
Wait right there. Wait right there.
Absolutely incredible, everyone. This is like the world first. Me seeing the tarantulas of the lovely Debra Wilson live on the air.
Here is.
Wow. Do they have names?
Yes, every single one of them have a name.
Wow.
This right here is Frankie. Frankie is a female. Frankie is. All right, I don't know, wait, let me make sure if you can see her. Hold her up to the camera this way. Can you see her?
Wow. Frankie
is a pandanus emperor scorpion.
Absolutely
incredible. Emperor scorpion. And she is about maybe 5.5 to 6 inches long.
Mm-hmm.
And she's from Africa.
Beautiful. Wow. Look at those pinchers.
Yeah.
Wow.
She wants to crawl a little.
Maybe she's a little bit camera shy.
There we go. She's just trying to find her way around.
Perfectly posing around the ring for the Instagram feed.
Yeah, she is an emperor scorpion, the pandanus.
Right.
Imperator, which is the emperor.
Right, yeah.
My hands are like there. Better view of her.
Mm-hmm, yes. Wow. I highly recommend watching the video version of this podcast, everyone. It's going to be incredible. For sure.
There she is making her appearance. There she goes. All right, I'll put her back, but I wanted to share one of my babies. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, you should all need to check out the video version of that. I will likely put up also a picture on social media for sure. Absolutely wonderful.
Their life expectancy is about 7 years.
Okay.
And my baby is she's slowly moving into the end of her life cycle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So hopefully she can hold on till the new year, but I have a feeling that she will end her life cycle by the end of the year, if not by the beginning of the new year.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah, it is. But the all tarantula, all scorpions, male or female, live
Mm-hmm.
about 7 to 8 years. There is one in India,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called the Heterometrus mysorensis, which is also a breed of Asian forest scorpion. They can live up to almost 12 years, almost double what the
Wow.
average scorpion can do. But yeah, and I have two particular breeds of tarantula from the Brachypelma species and from the Aphonopelma species, where the females can live up to 30 years.
Wow. 30.
Female. Males still 7 years, average 7 to 8 years. Females 30 years.
Wow.
Okay.
That's perfect. But I can see, like all your knowledge and you're being able to remember all these like Latin names, and I think I can now understand why you are like able to remember all these like crazy terminology for the video game recording. So great segue to the
Yeah.
voice acting.
Especially when you have a breed of tarantula that's a Acanthoscoria geniculata.
Wow. It
Yeah.
could just be something from World of Warcraft or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you would
Yeah.
never know that, right?
Yeah, but I think this leads to a great question I had. So overall, so like you have been part of, like you said, Destiny, World of Warcraft, all these like great fantasy universes. So like, yeah, what franchise made you say like the weirdest or craziest names or terminologies you can remember?
I would have to say Destiny 2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I would have to say, especially when it came to the names of my brothers and sisters, making sure I could wrap my head around Zebu Arath and Zebu Arath and say it clearly and naturally, Zebu Arath, and there are other forms of that I used, and Destiny 2 was trying to keep the phonetics going. Also, there are video games in which I've actually spoken another language.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the one that comes to mind, that where I got to the point of learning the language so much that I couldn't read the English without seeing the other language. So I had my script specifically written in English because I can translate it. So phonetically, that's because you don't know the language. So when you read it phonetically, it's, it helps you.
Yeah.
But I had learned the language. I was obsessed with learning this language so well that if I saw the phonetics, it would throw me off. Because the phonetics aren't written the way it's spelled.
Yeah, right.
I said, do me a favor, give me my script in English, and then I'll do the language. That's how much I was able to translate it. And that was Far Cry Primal. And the character was Batare.
Oh, wow. And yeah, I can understand why, for sure. So let's just start very general. So like, what does a recording session look like? So I would assume that at some point that you feel like your voice a little bit strained, like you've been drinking a lot of water or something. So like, is it like, do you have like hard times? Like, do you have like from 8 to 10 or like from 10 to 12, like hard times during your recording sessions? Or is it a little bit more flexible regarding like your, like the feeling of your voice, and you say, oh, you have to take a break here. We maybe need to take this session a little bit shorter. We can take maybe the next one a little bit longer, for example.
So you're talking about the vocal stress in a session.
Exactly.
Before I go into a session and before I even go into the audition for something, I ask how much vocal stress is involved. This way I can come in prepared as opposed to not knowing. So if I book a character, in other words, if I'm hired to play this character, I already know from the beginning how much vocal stress would be involved and where that would come into the session. Vocally stressful sessions are usually 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
That's if there's a lot. That means if it's a heavy duty session.
Right, yeah.
Now, if it's a 4-hour session and I've been booked for a 4-hour session, then the vocal stress will come at the end of the session. But I'm always prepared. I have a number of professional things that I take and things that I buy. I have a steamer, a portable steamer that gives hot steam to my throat.
Wow,
I also have certain lozenges. I have certain syrups. I drink certain teas, and so ginger. So I'm always prepared. There are times when I've had vocally stressful sessions And the next day it was really challenging to do another session. So sometimes I ask if I have a vocally stressful session, the next day I'll put myself on vocal rest before going on to other things.
Right, yeah, makes sense, yeah.
You know, and there are other times when they'll say, all right, we're only going to ask you for one take of something because it's vocally stressful. I do a lot of Call of Duty barks and soldier call outs.
Right.
And so far, and it's not on record, I can do the most vocally stressful soldier barks in the least amount of time than anybody else. Because what I do is, if it's repetitive, then instead of pulling it for the vocal cords in the throat, I hold my body down. The mic gets then repositioned by the engineer, and I'm bringing it from the diaphragm instead of reaching up like this to the mic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or having the mic like this. I hunker my entire body down like I'm playing football. So it's down like this. And this way I'm pulling from the diaphragm instead of pulling from the throat. And since it's repetitive, I can take in enough air into the diaphragm to keep doing it as if I'm playing a didgeridoo. And I do play didgeridoo.
Oh, wow. And this technique you just mentioned. Oh, okay, yeah. And this technique you just mentioned, was something you taught yourself, or is it like a well-known technique that somebody else maybe have taught you?
No, it's what's happening to your body. And you're just aware of what's happening to your body in that moment. So if I'm constantly doing this, I realize that I'm straining because whatever I'm pulling from because you're pulling from your diaphragm anyway. Whatever you're pulling from the diaphragm gets choked up a little here. It's like a funnel.
Yeah, right.
And so the funnel is upside down. You have all of this coming from the diaphragm, but you're squeezing it out because you're screaming. So in other words, I turn my funnel in the right position again. So my diaphragm is full, and now I'm allowing my vocal cords to be fuller.
I see. Wow.
And so it was just a matter of body positioning, because I realized what I'm doing. And I realized that a lot of people in voiceover or who are new to it will, if they're screaming, they bring their body forward. They lean forward because they're bringing their energy forward.
Right. Yeah.
And it's about keeping your energy straight. And once you know to do that, and I've been doing this for so long that I know to keep my energy straight as opposed to bending. And so once I keep my energy straight, and I never sit during a voiceover session. There's some people that look, I want to sit, put the mic here. I work best when I'm sitting. That's fine. But me, it's an energy thing because my voice is never first. My voice is always last in anything I do. In a voiceover session or any creation of the voice interpretation of this being, my voice is always last because my body, especially with World of Warcraft, I become that being, and that being may be hunched over, that being may be standing up, that being may be watching. So whatever energy I bring, the body goes, and once the body is there, that's the platform for that interpretation.
Okay,
my vocal cord. And so I always pay attention to my body first. And because that's just common knowledge to me, because I do it on a regular basis.
Yeah, right.
That's why it was like, you know what? I know I have a lot going on and I don't want to start getting strained. Or if I feel it, then I'm like, I got to start switching positions.
Wow.
So it's just, it's moment to moment. So it's nothing that I learned. It's already in your body. And it becomes common sense if you feel pain. If you feel pain in your leg, you're going to compensate by going on the other leg a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, so fascinating. And, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but likely you are. There's a certain issue with temp music in movies that they just put in like a temp music that they heard from like another movie or something, or like another soundtrack or whatever. And then they just put it there and then they listen to it over and over again, that they get a new composer and they say, well, we need exactly that. So they sort of try to cram in the music piece they already have in their head, and they wish they could use that one, but it's already used by, Titanic or something. So does this ever happen in voice acting, for example, that they say, well, we heard you from Destiny, for example, we need exactly that, and then you're sort of trying to argue with them, like, okay, I wish we could do it a little bit more like this, I think it would fit the character better, but they are insisting on that this has to be the voice. Does it ever happen to you?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because this is their creation. This is their baby. This is their space, the creative space that they're holding. They've been working on it long before I came along.
Right, yeah.
My part of the deal for me and for the company that I work with and for the game developers is to say, how do I serve you and your project? You and your project. I don't go, this is my game and I want to, it's not about me. It's about Debra disappearing.
Right.
So that this being can come to life the way you see fit.
Right.
I can create anything, and it is a joy to do that. I'm not a slave. I am a creative storyteller. And so I'm given permission to say, the baby we've already created, will you nurture it? Will you love it? Will you be its guardian?
Right.
And I say, yes, that's a gift. So if they know what they have in their head, the same way that someone who is going to a restaurant that they love to go to knows what they want and how they want it, who am I to deny them what they deserve?
Right, yeah, exactly. But speaking of which, though, for example, like in movies, you often see like that the actors are able to bring something unique to the table because they thought about the character. Maybe, of course, less like you just mentioned than the creator, but they are of course intertwined with the character now. So does it sometimes happen that you argue over something with the director? Of course, and all in good fun and like all to the benefit and to create something unique and something great in the end. For example, in The Last of Us, for example, there was quite vocal that they said, well, the director Neil Druckmann and Troy Baker were arguing very often about certain decisions, and then they came to a conclusion where everyone was happy, and they said, well, this is the best for the game, and they were both happy that they had this discussion. So do you sometimes argue with them? Like, even though you said like you're here to sort of like create something for them, but do you also bring your own voice and your own like thoughts?
It's always my voice.
Right.
It's
of course, yeah. Of course.
It's always my own voice. So my thing is this. Once I have a personal stake in it, because that personal stake is not about me. It's about this story. It's about this truth. It's about this power. It's about this being. And once I know that I have an invested stake, you gave me permission to have an invested stake. That's number one. And number two, I don't need to argue. I come up with ideas and suggestions of ways to go and what I'm feeling. But if they say, here is where we're going, then my responsibility for me is to recognize their commitment to that and not push it. Pay attention. Because I can listen to what you say, but it's my responsibility, or rather, change that. I can hear what you say. But it's my responsibility to also listen to what you say and not argue. But after I've made my suggestions and I'm fully given that space to do so, you make the decision.
Oh, okay, sure.
And so my responsibility is to put it out there, because I won't deny myself putting it out there, because I know it's for the greater good.
Yeah, right.
I know I don't have a selfish position or intention in it. I don't have a stake in it, because this shit will be over and I'll be on to the next thing.
Yeah, totally.
So my investment here is for you. My investment is because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I give 1,000%. But if I give that and you go, we're still going in this direction, I need to not hear that. I need to listen to that and go, yes, sir. Because I can create at any given moment, in any given nanosecond, in any given century or time, and I'll be in the center of that creation. So I don't care what you throw at me. I'm powerful enough in that creative and passionate moment to make it my own, even when it's yours.
Right, yeah. Wow, great answer to that. And it was recently announced that you will be playing Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And I can see you're already very excited about that. But you already played Amanda Waller in a different video game, in the Batman Telltale series. So I know you're under tons of NDAs for sure, by DC and by Rocksteady for sure. But maybe you can tell something, like, what does it feel like to come back to a character like this? Because it has been a couple of years, so does it feel different to come back to a character? Can you bring something different to the table?
Dynamically different. Telltale Batman was designed to have that comic book look.
Right.
That graphic novel look.
Yeah, right.
Amanda Waller was completely different in the way she looked. And so there were different subtleties that I used in my strength.
Right.
I made her very lilting. I made her very seductive. And the reason I wanted to make that voice a little bit more like that is because when you looked at her, she was heavy set. She wore glasses.
Right.
She looked like she could be a teacher or a librarian.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to play her so that she still had a power and a sex appeal because of the way she was drawn and looked with her glasses and her, her heavy set look.
Right.
And so this Amanda Waller, I actually did facial capture for at Rocksteady in the UK, in London.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so they are using me as the avatar.
Yeah, right.
And the only difference is they gave me a little bit of hair, but it's a kind of a buzzed on the side and a little bit of, hair there. And she's completely more badass in the way she is than I could ever have imagined.
Wow.
And so I knew, since they were going to use me from the very beginning, the audition process was to go to Warner Brothers, and they were going to see me on Zoom. And I did the audition, the first one that was in person. The pre-audition was on, you hand in your voiceover audition.
Yeah, right.
Your agency, and they submit it.
Right.
So when I got to the main audition, I had already memorized stuff, because in a performance capture audition, or you're moving around, you don't want to have sides.
Right, yeah.
And so they had the mic here, and I can move around, and it was the introduction to Bel Rev. And I'm talking to them, and I'm going to make them put nanobombs in each other's heads, and who's going to develop that pecking order.
Right, yeah.
And so it's a whole different vibe when you're now in the physical space, and you allow that physical space to be. And so my preparation was to go back to the movie to see when Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, went to Bel Rev, not to look for her performance.
Right. Okay.
I did not pay attention to her performance whatsoever. I saw the movie even before all of that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see it.
Right, sure.
And it was because it was Viola Davis. I was like, what? And so I didn't pay attention to her performance after all those times that I saw the first one. Right. Now I wanted to pay attention to the atmosphere of Bel Rev, the feel of Bel Rev, the dinginess, the darkness of Bel Rev. That's how all of that was infused into this Amanda Waller, because Amanda Waller in her soul is Bel Rev. There's something confined. There's something dark. There's something powerful. There's a control. All of those things are characteristic of Bel Rev and Amanda Waller.
Okay, yeah.
A little dark, a little sinister, controlled, powerful over people. Bel Rev had the power over these metahumans.
Right.
And these people. So it's, and she does too. So I knew if they were going to do that scene and I was going to record that.
Right, yeah.
I had to be prepared. That was my preparation. And that's how Amanda Waller became me.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. And I heard you once talk about the sort of NDAs that and the whole hiring process of the voice actors, and it's very restrictive in video games and in movies as well. But when you once you hear that you're now, for example, have been cast as Amanda Waller, like you just mentioned going back to the movies, but is it also that you feel like the urge to okay, now I have to read up on the comics, or is it always you're like, nope, this is me now, I don't want to read the comics, I want to be totally me, I want my own take on it? Or are you a little bit afraid sometimes about the fans and the fans?
Never.
And stuff? Okay.
Never afraid. Never think about the fans at that point. I think about focusing on Amanda Waller.
Yeah, right.
And as long as the game developers and the writers and Warner Brothers and Rocksteady go, yes, that's it. Once they saw that tape, they went, yes, that was it.
Nice.
That was it. So I'm bringing more of that to the table. because they know what they want. And they represent the fans. They would never disappoint the fans.
Yeah, right.
So I trust them. It's their baby.
Right, yeah.
And so when I go in to do anything, because I also did Okoye for Marvel's Avengers, The War for Wakanda.
Yeah, right.
And I never paid attention to Denai Gurera. And pardon me if I butchered her beautiful and amazing, this Nubian goddess's name. I think it's Denai Gurera.
Yeah.
I apologize, goddess, wherever you are, fans, wherever you are of the Marvel series of Black Panther, my sister love, I apologize for butchering your beautiful name. But I never used her as a sample of strength because I had my own strength to bring to it.
Right.
I think also because I do sport a shaved head, that was part of the power to see all these beautiful, magnificent African and African-American people and these women, these amazing goddesses with shaved heads. It was so empowering and empowering. And I've had my head shaved now since 2012. So it's 9 going on 10 years. It's just been, like I said, powerful to be able to go, the physical representation, again, my body and what I want to create are the foundation for the voice. So my voice is being supported by this amazing foundation to step on.
Yeah, right.
And so I never look at anybody else's stuff. I look at my foundation to step on and allow what comes out to be. And if everyone else says yes, then there it is.
Right, yeah. That's awesome. What a great way to approach it. And, you know, speaking of Wakanda and Black Panther in general, so I want to shift a little bit to the topic of sort of like blackness in video games. So do you think there's a sort of shift around black characters in general right now? So we recently had the release of Deathloop featuring two black characters, and they're just like, you know, they're just like regular people. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing, you know, there's no story about slavery, their pain or anything else. It's just, you know, a regular story about them. Like, do you see there's a sort of difference in portrayal of blackness in video games over the years?
Absolutely. And I think it took the sacrifice of George Floyd and others to really bring that to the forefront of the pain and the struggle and the deservingness of the dignity. And I think because movies and television and entertainment is a reflection of all society, universally, I'm so grateful for the entertainment industry taking a stand to do that. There's still work that needs to be done in the world, in politics, and in the entertainment industry. But it's not lost on me the strides that African Americans are making. It's not lost on me the strides of the LGBTQ community, and those who are differently abled. I'm seeing more ads with blended families. And I'm seeing more ads with differently abled human beings. I'm seeing more ads with biracial and multiracial people. It's absolutely amazing and stunning and well-deserved. And we are working to move towards a more blended world and a harmonious world here. And not necessarily a physical blended world where, you know, every race is going to intermarry and, you know, and have children. But I mean a blended world where we can start recognizing our own humanity in each other.
Right, yeah, totally. And hope we can see more of that in the future. And I think also you gave a really powerful speech during the War for Wakanda panel you recently had with your colleagues, Christopher Judge, Erica Luttrell, and Dave Fennoy. And Luttrell, sorry.
I'm sorry, no, it's actually Luttrell.
Luttrell? Oh, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I recently learned that, so I get a chance to educate others. But it's because I used to say Luttrell, and it's not Luttrell, it's Luttrell.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have done.
Don't apologize. This is a learning experience.
Yeah, right.
Never apologize for doing your job well because you knew what her last name was, and now you know how to pronounce it.
I will remember that for sure in the future.
Luttrell.
Yeah, so like, but what was it like to being part of this primarily black cast for a video game? Because I think I've never seen that anywhere before, like this like juggernaut of a cast, and like you just mentioned, like with all the great people you had there. So yeah, what was it like?
But it was very expected because it's Black Panther.
Sure,
It
yeah,
was very expected because it's for Wakanda.
yeah,
And
right,
so I didn't know, because we all recorded separately.
yeah,
I
right.
didn't know that Christopher Judge
Oh wow,
was voicing T'Challa.
yeah,
And so for me, it was a joy and a marvelous experience for the panel more than
right,
anything else because of that.
yeah, awesome, yeah,
And Dave Fenoy, the gorgeous and fabulous and the sexy
yeah,
dreadlocked
yeah, silky voice.
Dave Fenoy, how wonderful. And we've worked on a couple of things and didn't know it.
Wow. That's so crazy, like you would expect that, like everybody knows each other, having like, these great recording sessions. But yeah, I guess the reality of all these video games is that you just like sometimes are alone in the booth and then you don't even know who is else
Yeah,
in the game.
9 times out of 10 you're alone in the booth, but more than anything else, because you've signed an NDA, you don't really talk about it amongst,
Right.
amongst your peers.
Right, yeah,
You know?
exactly. Totally, yeah. So do you sometimes, like, for example, like, do you sometimes feel like, oh, there's like the Avengers game? Do you sometimes text like Chris Judge is like, hey, do you happen to be in that or something?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know why? Because we all go back to our lives.
Yeah,
and
right.
business is wonderful, and it is a huge personal. It's deep. Business for me is personal, is deeply personal.
Yeah, right.
It's deeply passionate. There are two things that the entertainment industry is when it comes to voiceovers.
Right.
It's deeply passionate and it's deeply personal.
Right, yeah.
But because it is so deeply passionate and personal, and I carry that with me, I don't lug it and put it on the table for everybody.
Of course.
It's
Yeah.
not like, let me tell you what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
what are you up to? Hey,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you work on? It's never one of those things. More than
Exactly.
anything, hey, what's going on? How you doing? How you feeling? Yeah, I haven't heard from you. Yeah, where did you eat? I've never heard of that restaurant. Is it really good? Do they have
Right.
vegan stuff? Oh, really? Okay. What? When did you get a motorcycle? I don't know. It's all of that personal
Sure,
stuff.
yeah, of course. Yeah. And you just mentioned that it's very rare to have like a recording session with multiple people in the room, but
It's
I
rare.
think
It's almost never.
yeah.
Almost never. But
Yeah.
but there are those occasions when that becomes magic.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, has some of that magic appeared in the recording session of? I'm not quite sure if it was for everything, but in the recording session of Bugsnax, I saw a picture of you all hanging out with the cast. So yeah, was there some of that magic you just mentioned in there?
Absolutely, because we're all together. And what's great about that is it was in the round. So
Right.
this was a large studio and everyone was around, so everyone can see each other.
Right.
It was wonderful. It's a rare thing. And I've done, I think, a Spider-Man game where there were a bunch of us recording together. And
Right.
it was wonderful. And I
Mhm.
used to work on a Netflix series. It's still on Netflix. It's an animated series, which is a spin-off of Madagascar from DreamWorks. And it's
Right,
called
yeah.
All Hail King Julian.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
And we used to record that in groups, and that was wonderful. And the reason I can bring that up so quickly in my memory banks is because it's so rare and so magical at the same time.
Mhm.
I'll never forget.
Wow. Yeah, hopefully we get more of that in the future. But, I guess we're also living in a reality where a virus is containing everyone in our own homes these days. But, hopefully in the future we can go back to some of those magical sessions you just mentioned.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Yeah. And yeah, the next topic is kind of difficult for me, but that was something I'm really interested in. It is the hiring of white voice actors to record voices for black characters. And there's a certain issue going on with, like, we just mentioned that the NDAs are so strict, you sometimes don't even know what you're applying for. I think you mentioned that regarding as well as Avengers as well as Star Wars, that you didn't even know that it was a Star Wars game or an Avengers game and what even the role was. So yeah, there is this sort of issue that also, of course, like, yeah, the majority of the voice actors are white, and they are sort of like, yeah, it's hard to, as a newcomer, just starting off, like, getting like these roles as a person of color, because like what I realize is many of the black characters are portrayed by Hollywood actors these days. So, like, yeah, where do you see this, like, issue and how to handle it, basically, like what can we do here for, like, trying to resolve this a little bit better, because you can't just say not like white people can't apply for this job because there's this discrimination and everything. So how do you see that?
First of all, I've never known that as an issue. I've never really seen that as a huge an integral part of what's going on. You would have to, for me, you would have to tell me the specific games, and you would have to tell me the specific actors, and you would have to tell me the specific characters, because I have not experienced it. So I'm going in blind to a certain extent in order to answer that, because I have not had that experience. I have not ever had that experience where I've seen around me or have known in the video games or any of the animated shows, because I do everything from books on tape to announcer, where that has come up, where it's been so open and so out there that I'd be like, look, I'm going to speak up and I'm going to say something, or an interview comes up where I bring that up, or the interviewer brings that up. I have not had that experience, and I don't know of specifics. If I had known of specific ones, I would speak on it. If I was aware in general, then I would speak on it. But that has not been an awareness of mine, and I would like to know, for me, again, when you give a blanket statement like white actors voicing black characters, I would have to know the specifics. And that, if we were just having a personal conversation and none of this was going on, I would say, well, give me an example. Tell me where. So I can't speak on something without knowing an example or anything like that, because otherwise it would all be theoretical.
I mean, I can give you an example right now if you want.
Please.
So there's this very famous voice actress called Laura Bailey. You might have also interacted with her before. She's the voice of Nadine Ross from Uncharted 4 and also The Lost Legacy. And she's a white woman. She did the voice for Nadine, for I think is from Africa. I'm not quite sure on the specifics, but I think from what Naughty Dog told the fans, it was like they created the character and they already sort of had the voice hired or something unto the extent. I'm not quite sure on the specifics, like I said, and there was a lot of backlash that they were saying like, okay, like why would this like very famous voice actress who already is in almost every game take this role from a potentially person of color or like a black person, even though she's already in all of these games.
Okay, there are two things then. The one thing I do want to speak on is the use of the idea and the activation that someone took something. She auditioned like everybody else. So she didn't take anything. She was hired. And that, now I'm speaking as a blanket person who works and has the opportunity like everybody else. I have not been denied an opportunity, and I'm grateful. Maybe there have been others who have not. But I can only speak on my experience from my position, which is I can't take anything from anybody. I audition like everybody else. And so if she's doing certain inflections other than accents, then I would have to hear that and go, all right, let's discuss this. So when you say that, I would have to hear it, because there are plenty of characters that I voiced in videos and in animation that when drawn were white. They were non-black. They were not black. Recently, I auditioned for a role for a Disneyland theme park here in California, which is Disneyland. And it was a voice on, I forgot to turn my phone off, but it was a voice for, what is the ride? The Jungle Cruise. And it was voiced by a man for 30 years. They had used this recording for 30 years. And prior to getting on, there's a 45-minute loop of an old-fashioned radio program. Now, that old-fashioned radio program has music, but it also has announcements. And the on-air personality and announcer in this 30s or 40s voice is named Albert Awol. Well, Disney decided that they were going to revamp the ride itself, because there were certain things that are looked at in the 21st century as politically incorrect. And in doing so, they also thematically wanted to change Albert Awol, but they wanted to come up with a storyline because Imagineers don't do anything half-assed. Imagineers are completely and totally meticulous and honorable in their amazing and fantastic and magical creation. That's why the Disney Corporation is the Disney Corporation. And so they said the story is Albert Awol, aka Albie, goes off into the jungle and he's on his adventures. And he leaves the radio station in the capable hands of his sister. Because they're a kinship. He knows that it would be left in good hands.
Makes sense.
And I submitted because I can do a 30s and 40s voice. And a radio voice. Not one time did my agent go, don't go out for that, because, and give me the logical explanation of the radio voice. Black people weren't really on the radio voice, radio. Innocent Andy did blackface even on radio, on radio.
Crazy,
And so, no, we're not going to go out. Don't go out for that because, you know, they're probably going to look for a Caucasian voice. Because Albert Awol, the way he sounds for the past 30 years, you imagine him being a white man in 30s, 40s radio, not black people. No one said that. No one brought that up. They don't care. Pardon my French, but then no one gave a shit. When the people at Disney heard it, they went, that's the voice.
That's
Debra Wilson. They know I'm black, but the association with my name and my race had no bearing. And so when I've worked on animated stuff, and I also do voiceovers for a puppet show in the UK that's very popular from an old show that they once had that they brought back, which was it's a mix of politics and pop culture and celebrity. And it's called Spitting Image. And so I've done voices where the puppets were white. And so nobody cares. It doesn't lend it to this experience. I remember the first time I did a puppet show decades ago called the Mr. Potato Head Show. And the women who were puppeteers, and I was not a puppeteer, the women who were there were white, and they had trepidations because Queen Sweet Potato, this new character, was more like an Aretha Franklin than a Celine Dion. You feel me? You know what I'm saying with that? And so she was more like a Whitney Houston, not a Britney Spears. And so they felt intimidated to bring some sass to it. And I said, look, no one's asking you to be black. To do that is racist. For you to go in and want to do a black voice is racist. Bottom line. But if you bring your sass to it, if you bring your spice to it, fucking go for it. Because if you don't, I'm going to fucking go for it. And I'm not a puppeteer. Everyone there was a puppeteer. I was the only non-puppeteer. The reason I was brought in was because I was black. And my agent went, go for it. And I said, I'm not a puppeteer. She's like, go for it. And I was like, I don't know if I should do this. She was like, go for it. I was like, all right. And got to tell me to go for it for a fourth time. And I booked it because I also sang. And they didn't hire me because I was black. I brought a different sass and fun to it the way Debra does. The same way I got hired for Savathun. The same way I got hired for Okoye. The same way I got hired for Cere Junda. The same way I got hired as Batare. I bring all of my energy. So if you're going to bring all of your energy and you're not going to do a black voice, which is racist, I say, fucking go for it.
Wow, words to live by.
I'll call you out as a racist. If I hear some shit from the past, you better believe this mouth will go for it. You feel me?
For sure.
But if I'm listening to it, and the character wasn't created to be racist, to be black, but happened to have a human experience in a black person's body,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine.
Okay.
But if you're telling me that you're discussing the Black history, you're talking about Black people, you're talking about living in Chicago, you're talking about growing up Black, if
Mm-hmm.
that becomes an inherent part of it, you better believe I'd go to my union. You better believe I'd go to social media. You better believe I would take to the newspapers. You feel me?
For sure.
But if this happens to be a Black character,
Mm-hmm.
it would be racist to try to do a Black voice.
Right, yeah.
I once had someone I know that I was speaking to, telling them about some of the things that I'm doing voiceover wise. And he goes, well, that's interesting because you don't even sound Black.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
I said, yes, I sound Black because I'm Black.
Right, yeah.
See, he thought I was going to talk like this. That's what he thought I was going to. Yeah. See, in his mind, this is what Black is. I said, I don't talk like that, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't talk like that. I'll be saying so. Unless you don't
Right.
pay me money. I do it. I'll do it. I ain't no on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I do it if you pay me money. I ain't telling you how it is, but I do it if you pay me money. You feel me?
Right, totally.
They're naturally who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the way I speak naturally.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when he said that, I said, that's racist. I love you. We're friends.
Right.
This is not going to come between us because you haven't been educated.
Yeah, right.
You're ignorant at this point, so I'm going to educate you. Of course, I sound Black because I am Black. So for me, registering that in voiceover,
For sure, yeah.
if she sounds like she does,
Right.
with an unaffected, what you would call a Black scent,
Mm-hmm. Right.
then again, I say, fucking go for it. There are characters in which I do what I call put on Blackting.
Okay.
Whereas they want, look, I told you, I'm not playing with you. You better leave me alone. Oh yeah, really? Come and get, motherfucker, I'm not. That's what I was. And that's what I also chose as Grace Walker
Right.
in Wolfenstein New Colossus.
Yeah, right.
It was the 60s. She had an afro.
Mm-hmm.
There was jive talk. And there was a way that Black people spoke. And I put that shit on. And she cursed too.
Yeah.
You better believe I put that on, motherfucker. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And I owned it.
Yeah.
A white person can't own that.
For sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so if I listen to Laura Bailey's voice as this Black character and she's not affected, again, Laura Bailey, God bless you, fucking go for it. But if I hear you trying to do a Black scent,
Right.
I'm coming after somebody's ass.
Yeah. And you don't want to mess with Debra, for sure.
Nobody went, hey, Deborah, you can't do a 40s radio voice. That was only for white people back then.
Yeah, right.
Oh, really? Then why did Disney hire me?
Mm-hmm.
Now flame my cigarette. Thank you very much. And hand me my brandy, please. Thank you very much. No one said don't do that. No one ever said, you can't do that here, you know.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful of what's reverse and what's not.
Yeah, right. For sure, yeah.
We have to be careful of that thin line of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And what hypocrisy is in voiceover.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There ended the lesson. Oh,
Oh, a wonderful lesson. I would have totally paid for that masterclass, for sure. And, I think it's really hard to follow up this great speech of yours right now. But, I will try to sort of...
follow it up. Follow it up. Dorian, follow it up. Dorian, follow it up.
Yeah, I will sort of try to alleviate it a little bit. So, I saw that in a bunch of interviews, and I think on your Cameo also, you wore a couple of special shirts. There's like Whoopi Goldberg, Kamala Harris, Nicolas Cage, face collages on them. So I want to know, what does an actor or celebrity need to do to be worthy of being put on a shirt and for you to be wearing them?
Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage. Name anybody else, personality-wise, that's Nick Cage.
Right.
Why you won't find him?
Right.
Yeah. Because he's out of his mind when he wants to be.
Right, yeah.
Nicolas Cage. And you know what? When people saw that Nicolas Cage, the first thing was, that's why that natural reaction,
right.
Their natural reaction to the shirt was my natural reaction to the shirt when I first saw it.
Yeah.
And I went, Oh my God, all those faces of Nick Cage like that, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It made me feel something. And all I do is go by my gut instinct. If I feel it, I'm doing it.
Right, yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg is an icon.
For sure, yeah.
She played my mother in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I dreamt about meeting her for years in New York before I was even in the industry.
Okay.
And the dream came to pass
Right.
the way I dreamt it in meeting her.
Mm-hmm.
She is so giving and so compassionate. She was the first time that I saw an image of myself as a Black person and a Black woman that I said, I want to be in this business.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Look at her on Broadway, Karen Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
into Whoopi Goldberg.
Right.
Look at her playing, oh my God, Valley Girls, drug addicts. Look at all these look at all these people that she is. Look at all this that she is.
Right, yeah.
She's not one person.
Mm-hmm.
She's the world.
Right.
She's universal.
Mm-hmm.
I was mesmerized.
Right.
Mesmerized.
Mm-hmm.
And the day I met her,
right, yeah.
The day I cried in her arms, solidified everything for me. There was no stopping me at that point.
Right,
the two times where my life was taken to the next level after meeting two people, Mark Hamill
Okay.
and Whoopi Goldberg.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I was forever changed by their presence in my life. Forever. Everything that you see right now are a culmination of loads of people. But the three people that meant and mean the foundation of where I was, who I am, and the continuing path ahead of me, three people, an integral thing. They're huge and monumental. Whoopi Goldberg,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill,
Right.
and video game director. He does more than video games, but because I know him through this and so much more, Tom Keegan.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He's my life changer.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
Tomkeegan. He's
Right,
directed me in 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
He is my mentor. He is my friend. And he is the most incredible and amazing human being
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever met.
I had a
Creatively,
question related to him.
personally, emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Tom
Awesome.
Keegan.
Uh-huh.
Oof.
Yeah.
How I adore and love that man. Not only that, but everything I learned from him, everything I have been taught from him,
Mhm.
everything that is him that he gives me personally, emotionally, and spiritually and creatively,
Right, yeah.
I infuse in everything. You
Mhm.
know why I book a lot? You know why I work a lot? Tom Keegan.
Wow,
Everything that he does, I take to every place else.
Uh-huh.
I set the table, I set the stage, and I
Right.
bring Tom Keegan and everything I've learned from him. He is
Mhm.
my sensei.
Wow. And I had a question related to him. So,
Mhm.
so what in your opinion makes a good voice acting director? And do you need some different traits than, for example, someone like Tom Keegan, who is a performance director?
He does the same thing. He's no different.
Okay, yeah. So it's like
Tom Keegan
okay.
is no different. He, to me, is the epitome. And if everyone can learn from Tom Keegan,
Mhm.
they'd all be better at their jobs.
Mhm.
If you're a director, you'd be better at your job.
Right.
If you're an actor, you'd be better at your job. If
Mhm.
you only do voiceover, you'd be better at your job. You'd be
Right.
more open, aware, accessible.
Mhm.
You'd be more surrendering.
Mhm.
You'd be more creatively abundant.
Right.
That's Tom Keegan, because he's directed me for voiceover as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And is there something that makes him just one? If you had to boil it down to, I know it's very hard, but if you have something you would like, what does it make? Is it the one trait you would say is so exceptional about him?
Love.
Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think about him and I cry.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah.
Love.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that he's really had a huge impact. Like you just said, Whoopi Goldberg, Mark Hamill and him, yeah. That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I hope, yeah. Or like you would say, it very credible.
Yes, it's very credible.
Yeah, that's yeah, amazing. And like speaking of like Mark Hamill and the Star Wars franchise, I wanted to know like I saw these like recording sessions on the Jedi Fallen Order game. So I know that you had like breakfast and lunch sessions with the whole crew. So like during these sessions, like who would be like the one person to crack up the entire group?
Keep in mind, these weren't voiceovers. This was
Right.
performance capture.
Right. Yeah.
So you're working with a family of
Right. Yeah.
people,
Mm-hmm.
and some of these people have gone from one game to the next, and you come in and there they are again.
Right. Yeah.
And that becomes a family reunion.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No one person, because everybody brings their own personality to it. And most of the time it's not during work, it's
Right.
in
Yeah.
between those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because everyone has such a love and a joy of what they do that they
Right.
pour it onto you
Mm-hmm.
and they take care of you. You're nurtured, you're loved, you're in a safe environment, not
Right.
just
Yeah.
because of COVID, but you're in a safe environment because your heart is secure to do your best work.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your heart is secure. Tom Keegan sets the tone
Mm-hmm.
for everyone and makes sure that you're in a magical space, that you are loved, that you are validated, that you are welcomed, and that you are, again, more than anything else, safe to create your best work. And then he supports you to do your best work.
Wow.
And it's not always an easy support. In other words, there are times when it's like, I need this. Okay,
Sure.
because he also has to be the liaison between the game developers and the writers,
Right. Yeah.
as
Mm-hmm.
director, and to you.
Right. Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he masterfully goes between the two to interpret and bring
Mm-hmm.
their vision, then his vision,
Right. Yeah.
and your vision, so that all of you are in a space to create something as amazing and magical as, like I said, in some of the games that I worked with him on that were performance capture,
Right.
the
Yeah.
razor, the mirror's edge,
Right. Right.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think Wolfenstein, right?
Wolfenstein, the
Right.
new
Yeah.
Colossus,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Wolfenstein. Thank you for using that German accent, which is beautiful. Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein. A Young Blood,
Yeah.
which I had
Right.
a small appearance in,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, before we close off the show, so I have one couple of questions left. So I love how you use your words and ways I've never even thought about before.
No,
For
no, no.
example,
I love how you use your words in ways that I love. Wolfenstein.
yeah, I might need to
Yeah,
change the whole
not
podcast.
yet. Yeah.
Wow, I'm flattered. Thank you so much. But like I said, I love the way you use the words like credible instead of incredible, and relationships instead of relationships. So as a relationships, yeah, right.
Relationships. Yes.
Exactly. So as a podcast host, so like what advice would you give me regarding my vocabulary then?
None, because your journey is purely yours and it's beautiful and you can discover whatever you want. My responsibility is to step back and love you for it.
That's wonderful.
And support you. So take your journey and continue doing that. But if, like I said, the only things that, like I said, what I'll do, the correction thing was like a literal, was because I
Right.
know.
Yeah, sure.
But until then, your journey, like my journey, is self-discovery and going, oh, I'm inspired. Oh,
Right.
I take these bits and pieces. Oh, I want to
Yeah,
share
right.
that. Oh, because if it really hits you and it fits you, then it was
Right.
yours to begin with.
Yeah.
It was yours to begin with.
Wonderful. Such lovely words. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Debra, I think we're right about here at the end. I know you don't have any social media, but I know that you're on Cameo. We got in touch through there. So yeah, people, please check out Debra's Cameo if you want to get in touch with her. Such a lovely time with her, having her on this show.
And also,
yeah.
just to let you know, on
Sure.
Cameo, there are some people that I don't want to buy a Cameo.
Sure.
And so I made sure that you can direct message me without any price, because they were at one point it was like $2.99 and
Yeah,
there were
right.
different prices. And I realized I could set that. I did not know that I could set a price or not.
Oh,
I
okay.
had no idea. I'm like, because I didn't say $2.99. I'm like,
Sure.
Cameo put $2.99.
Oh, yeah,
However,
true.
I found out that there is, I can change that. So I
Yeah.
changed it and took off any price for a direct message. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, okay.
So I took off the prices for direct messaging. So if someone wants to go, hey, listen, I
Mhm.
know you're not on social media, I just wanted to say hi or whatever, and then find me on Cameo.
That's awesome. Yeah, and be sure to check out all the lovely video games we just mentioned here on the podcast. And also, I'm really looking forward to like Debra's portrayal of Amanda Waller again in Suicide in 2022. Suicide Squad.
Badass.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And
you better believe.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I said, Debra, it's such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. And I had something little special prepared for the ending. I thought would be fun. I hope
You're gonna take your clothes off.
Oh, maybe not. I think YouTube and the fans wouldn't like that.
Oh.
But it will be something maybe you can help me out with. So
Okay.
I think you just mentioned that the voice always comes last, and it's always somewhat like an amalgamation of all your experiences, of everything you went through, all the people you met. You just mentioned a couple of people there in the games you portrayed in. And I think throughout the show, I think you've got a pretty good feeling of the vibe of the podcast and, me as a host. And, I wanted to ask you if you could maybe close off the show by saying the name of the podcast, You, Me, and the Industry, by a voice created by you that encapsulates all the experience you just had throughout this 1 hour interview with me.
It wouldn't just be me. It would be an amalgamation.
Wow.
This is Cere Junda, and you're here with Dorian. Wait a minute. You ain't the only one. You know what? You a righteous man. I like you. You make people come in and feel comfortable. Yeah, right on, baby. Oh, by the way, I think you know who this is, right? In case you don't, this is Grace Walker, baby. And I say, Dorian, you are one of the coolest. Yes, you are. Well, I disagree. Dorian, this is Savathun. You use your words very carefully. Very slick, very smart, very meticulous. Sort of like me, which means somewhere in there, maybe you have an ulterior motive. Maybe there's something else that drives you. But until then, I'll just keep listening to you to find out. I hope the rest of you do too. You, Me, and the Industry, hosted by Dorian. Keep listening to it. And then come and see me on 2/22/22.
Wow, I got chilled. Thank you so much, Debra. And that's it. That's the end, everyone. Hope to check it out. Check out the video. Like I said, check out the video to see the Scorpion by Debra. Check out, her beautiful smile. Check out her passion. Everything that went through this episode here. Thanks so much for tuning in. You can find us on, social media. We're at Yumi and Industry on the pod and on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook. You can find us there. I am at Dorian Chow, also on Twitter and Instagram. And like I said, check out Debra's cameos. He just removed the fee for messaging her. Send her all your love. Send her all your thoughts and ideas, and tell her to just say, tell her that you're just glad that she exists, and brings all the love and all the passion to the video game project we just mentioned. Until then, take care, everyone. Bye.